very good morning to our listeners. This is 89.7 Contact FM, and you're just in time for news review on yet another new week. And of course, joining me on the show, Albert.
I like that. Well, the guy says, you're just on time to, and he's the one who's late.
He's the one who's late.
But he was there, but he was still waiting for everyone to be on time to follow. And now, if you're following now, you're just on time.
Just on time. The other time you were not, it was in time for me.
Exactly.
Until he starts talking. Next time just start.
Next time I just start.
You can review the news yourself.
Who will be talking to me now?
By the way, there is an idea. I think very soon we need to start opening the lines.
Oh, sure.
For
our
participation.
Right.
But now when you only on the Friday and the Monday when you have 1 hour.
Yeah.
Yes.
But when you have half an hour,
It will be a little bit.
who else can talk when we are in the middle of it?
Yeah,
So
I
could be
know.
Monday on a Friday. We will definitely be finding a way of.
And then of course, on a Monday it's quite it's full, it's packed.
How?
Events. When it comes to Monday, we now bring to table what happened over the weekend and probably even late Friday, blah blah blah. So there's usually quite a lot to say on Monday.
Okay, let's get on to it.
Okay, so let me just start with some ghosts from the past, and I love you to be real quick.
Ghosts.
He wants to bring ghosts.
Ghosts. I'm a video game freak. That's a hell of a game. Ghosts. Oof. Part 1, part 2. Ask me.
Now, guys,
This is my common trend with Joseph Kabila. Yes.
Okay, let's go.
and it is the BBC ghost.
And that's not the ghost.
Again.
That's not the ghost. That's a real threat.
It's a real threat.
I mean, a threat in it's a
To
real,
you.
Yeah, and to decency and to human dignity. It's just for the sake. I mean, look at that letter that they wrote to, or that note, because they dodged an interview.
Yeah,
Twice.
Twice.
They didn't want to be challenged.
Yes.
And they tell you from the top of the mountain, what is it that they as a media they need
their right
it's
to-
their right to first of all there was
examine.
nothing, zero untold of what they've been saying there. This crap has been on for 20 years, but this crap has been dismissed by the whole of the world, by the people who are serious. Now these guys of BBC thinking they are serious, they give it some airtime without any challenge, and you see that shows. It was not just being unprofessional.
Yes.
It was also deliberately, when they say that they did interview a survivor. It is not true. You just watch the movie or the documentary. What they do, the guy is just explaining what it is, and they do a comment. That is not challenging versus the whatever they were getting from other people.
Yes.
But if you look at the incidents of the weekend,
Yes, the
the
protests.
demonstrations,
But,
the
but
protests
that
were
is
held.
what Mike wanted to bring up.
Yes,
right?
yes. Looking at the demonstrations, do we think that it served the purpose? Looking at the actions, activities that have come around after this documentary was aired.
Would you just stay home? Would you just stay home if
No,
it happens?
I mean,
Because
of course,
next time it's
what
gonna
it
be
feels
about-
like.
The message here was, trying to protest or protesting against whatever is going on at the BBC.
The message
Yes.
is the message, Eugene. The very first message. People have been hurt. That is the whole point. People have been hurt. You have more than 1 million people here who have a name, an address, a family, and all that. And BBC comes and say you don't exist.
But don't you think?
Yes.
Okay, I'm of the opinion that the damage has already been done. Out of the fact that BBC went ahead to release the documentary.
When
You've seen
somebody
it.
hurts,
somebody has seen
you,
it.
you
out
don't
there.
you don't want to go out and shout about
Yes,
it.
you will shout,
You
and
shout.
the person will
Yes.
either apologize.
No, the
or
person depending
will
on
not
the person
apologize.
depending on what kind of person it is. Yes.
And so looking at even from the note they sent us,
Yeah.
it's like they're standing their ground.
The
It's-
ground.
They're not ready
That's
to
fine.
apologize on
That's
the way
fine.
down.
That's not the point.
Mm.
At least this thing and more actions will expose them to more people, because that's the whole point. Otherwise, they're the only opinion makers. But now, by an action like that, where they were making their opinion into people's mind, there might be some question marks that come up.
You know this the incident about this documentary reminds me of there's this movie about how do you call this Wall Street, the Walls of Wall Street, and then the Kenyan communications commission sat down and then they banned it. Apparently,
The Kenyans?
yes, in Kenya it was banned.
About the Wall
But
Street?
apparently,
Wolf of Walls.
Walls of Wall Street
That
was
movie.
banned in Kenya.
I don't know.
But
yeah.
by
It
banning
was
that,
banned, you couldn't watch
by
it.
banning that movie, actually, that's what drove people to look for it. Like, oh no, why are they banning it? Why? So instead of the bans having the purpose of the dirty seas, people not to see that. Now people are going out even more looking for it.
I know where you're going, but if you stay silent, you stay silent, and it will happen again. You make your voice heard, and maybe that voice will be joined by other voices, and other voices, and other voices. And next time, maybe this guy who's been exposed will think twice. Or those guys might be also so hard-hearted that they don't care about any kind of protest. But it's not banning here. You see, it's whether they do or not. But let me tell you something like that. I'll tell you, they would never dare with the Jewish community. Never. You would never have a movie like that on the Holocaust or like that. They'd say, you know what? There were not 6 million Jews because there were not enough Jews in Europe anyway. It was only 100,000 Jews that were killed in the camps. That is what BBC did.
So the next step, as we said, the
Next
last
step,
time, the UN.
We need to
they-
raise,
Yeah.
first of all, 1 million signatures just to protest for 1 million people who have been
Who lost
denied
their
dignity, human dignity, by those unprofessional.
Who's leading the petition, and where are we getting the?
We are coming there,
Okay.
but contact will be part of it.
All right.
So stay tuned and watch this space.
Signatures needed.
1 million at
Okay,
least.
Albert has said it.
Yeah.
and the people out there have heard.
And I'm recruiting signatures.
I hope you're not going to do it.
For
the
our cause.
Mashimoni way. the Raila Odinga referendum way. Are you going to do rallies around the?
I'm not
around the country?
I'm not a Diga star, but I'm not in a Kenyatta star, that's for sure.
All right, and yet again, I'm seeing here RDB again. Speaking of the idea.
Are you going into the hard news? Can
Me
we
too,
go to
I think we're banning the same thing. Almost.
Is this the KCB?
The issue of noise pollution.
Oh yes, I'm burning on that.
Bring it to the table.
Bring it! I hope everyone has woken up because
it's backed by demand.
on general demand. I'm reading a couple of tweets from the police.
Yeah,
Okay,
On-
I mean, like 12 hours later, when
Yeah.
everything was already done, somebody must have been missing in action there. But I'm very much disappointed. I mean, by this kind of reaction, which is normal. Okay, I wouldn't really immediately expect, because. Okay, just for everybody to be on the same page, what happened? There's a club at KCB, not KBC, at KCB.
KBC.
KBC, at KBC. Oh my man. So it's a club at KBC.
Yeah.
We've known ever since 2002
That is
that
soundproof, yeah.
that club is soundproof. Every week they've been getting. I mean, ever since we've heard this thing about the noise pollution, they've been having visits from the police,
They need to reduce
and
the
they say somebody in Kyovo is complaining. But you're in Kachiru at KBC, right?
And somebody in Kyiv is complaining.
And somebody's, and you know what? When people also say somebody in Kyiv is complaining, they mean
Yeah.
the state house.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't work like that. I mean, I can. First of all, the KBC club is soundproof,
And the doors are always closed.
and the doors are closed. And even if you open and close, that doesn't make fujo in the night. You know.
Yes.
So, they come, close the club, pick up the manager, and the equipment. And you had the mayor, but it cannot work like that. You cannot come and decide this is the place that makes noise. When people inside there say, but wait a minute, we don't feel that there is noise here. You know? So if you're having something to stand your point, you know, well, how can you and you lock him up? Not just fine, but lock him up and you take the whole equipment. And if the guy wants to make his case, he's been threatened to be locked up too. So there is something that is really.
I think these kind of acts have to be exposed fully.
And it will be very tough not to believe
Yeah.
that the guy was on a mission.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would fine if you don't obey the law. That is the full role of the police to make you obey the law, or to implement whatever charges. Oh no, not the charges, but to take you until you be presented to justice. But here, I can't.
Two problems I have with this whole issue.
Noise thing.
Yes, number one is the lack of these most affected groups coming out openly
Yes.
to talk about it.
Yeah.
We at the newsroom wanted to do this story a few days ago, weeks
Yes.
ago, and the only person we managed to talk to was Bisoso. The other people, we tried to get club owners, we tried to get event managers,
that
we
is,
tried.
yeah,
They don't want to talk. They just want to make noise on Twitter, and that's all.
No, they don't make even.
They don't talk.
No, there is only one guy that made noise because his manager was in jail.
The rest,
No, but even then, even the other days, he's been quiet.
I've just seen
So the problem-
citizens complaining.
So problem that we have for the moment, I feel like these guys, the owners and all that, to me, my sentiment is that they feel that they are under threat, and that is why they don't want to talk.
That if they talk, they'll be now.
Yes,
There's
yes,
some
yes.
gossip.
But the real debate here, first of all, there is a debate about, because you know the police or the mayor will argue, they say you need to respect the community's rights. Wait a minute, that includes communities' rights. That includes the people who just want to live in the night.
Yes.
They are there.
They also have rights.
Yes, absolutely. Some guys say, man, I cannot sleep before 2 and I need to roam around in the city.
Yeah.
That's his right. That's his right.
So
Nighttime has rights. You know, it defeats the whole vision also when people. The city council came in with ideas to say, you know, we need your business to be run 24/7. That includes noise.
Yeah.
If you have a shop open in the night, it will make noise compared to
I can imagine if we had an active night in terms of our roads. How much would they say that the public transport is
Exactly.
noise? Because the buses,
Because already now, even in the night,
Yes.
when you hear a car driving,
Yes.
it makes noise compared to daytime.
Yeah.
You see? But again, here we say, in this case, police, there could be false play. You know? There is no way I cannot believe that KBC is making noise. I cannot. Until you prove it. You see? I agree that if somebody is making extravagant noise, that this cannot be. That we need to have a minimum of respect. But there are two things. Nightlife needs to be discussed. Secondly, it is not just the fact that you do a meeting with owners and say, this is now finished, no noise in the night. If you want to sensitize people, do a campaign, informative, share that with the people. Don't just impose and say,
We
no
met
noise.
them, and we met them, and we told them.
And that is
And
not
again,
because
this
this whole thing needs to be shared with the general public, not just with the owners. So
So
the
the
owners now,
yeah.
what I've read in what you are just saying, is that they feel like they've been targeted. Because they're the only ones who have been approached
Yes.
by the authority. And then when you ask him as a journalist, you ask him, okay, so what's the point? What's the problem? He says, oh, they say. No, I'll give you an example. You go to Chiwagamaga, you have a place called Kaima, open air, swimming pool, and all that. Now this place has to close. It's open air. They can never make more than a phone radio that you can put on.
Yeah.
You know. Then and this used to be a smart place where so many people would like to come and just chill on a Saturday, on a Sunday, have some yamachoma, hear some music and all that.
There was also a
Don't make so much noise. I have a splitting headache. Too much noise.
Too much noise.
Maybe the guy who called that. Morning.
And you know, one thing, life has changed from the moment that we got electricity. You know, we don't have to go, all of us, and sleep at 6 p.m. to wake up at 5 a.m. Life has changed. There is also a life between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. and that has rights. So it's not just that you impose and say, you need to respect other people's communities. So there has been abuse, we know. But we need to find a middle way there.
Yeah.
And even more specifically, I think the challenge now comes down even to the law itself, because what's the rationale behind it when the gadgets to be used to determine
Exactly. And otherwise, because I really feel that the thing on Friday to Saturday is abuse. I mean, until somebody proves me differently that KBC was really making noise in Kyovu. But I feel here there was
Where is the bar owners and the restaurant owners?
They are
I would like to examine the ears of that person in Kyovu who's able to determine that all the way across another hill, there's one specific place that's making noise. That is he the one who identified, or is the police that went around looking for the noise he spoke of?
You see, I don't get this. To curb noise pollution, Rwanda police together with local authorities conducted several meetings with bars and church. So you targeted them. And these guys now, they don't want to come out. And the whole thing is not about them, it's about the whole community. If we need to curb really noise pollution, it has to be shared with everybody. There needs to
Because
be
these are the owners of the club.
And you know, we follow some of these meetings, and they're generally not really meetings. They're just they summon you to come and give you instructions and warn you if you don't follow those instructions. So what is the point in that? We are grown-ups. We are grown-ups. We are part of this community. When the mayor says I am Kigali, he's very right, but we are Kigali too. So it cannot
Kigali
be.
one and Kigali
Yeah. There's also City 1 and City 2. So it is important that we sit down and we talk about these things. In fact, it's making more noise in reacting to these kind of stories than what KBC can possibly make. So there's really a need of communication. This kind of rough or almost dictatorial approach to running a city is just not acceptable.
But guys, when we all shared all this kind of sentiments,
Yes.
who is this person who's now going to convene or bring these people together on one table and be able to discuss this? Because the opinion, I think, is, again, the police are feeling like we are doing our job, we're doing it the right way. And the oppressed are just silent there.
But you see, as an institution, they take a line. But I'm very sure that inside there, the individuals who examined the case of the KBC inside the police must have question marks themselves. Because for 12 years, we've lived with that club. 12 12 years.
All of a sudden now.
And all of a sudden now.
And
There's our proof that it's
we've
not
all been
enough.
around KBC. We've all been in KBC.
Yes.
You know that even if you're standing in the parking lot, you
You
can't
can't
hear
hear it
anything.
up.
Yeah, so I don't know how that noise somehow leaves there, jumps and the
All the years,
parking lot,
and
and
we
we
just
just need
keep-
to be careful. It's just not possible.
You know, and again, if they really want to curb the pollution, blah blah blah, all of that, they need to bring in devices. I mean, there is no
Yes,
way.
absolutely. As I said, this is a ticking time. Without that device, there would be no way of measuring it.
Yes.
And there would be no common
I mean,
ground.
well, the thing is, they cannot even see if there is no abuse of some of the offices.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah,
nightlife,
yeah.
you know? This is nightlife also. Somebody can say, you know what, I have a problem with KBC.
Yeah, let me go there.
You know? And what? And we know the police force is not easy to be corrupted, but hey, it can happen, you know?
And it's not even a matter of at some point, let's assume that there is no corruption. Just the fact, the way you handle people. If we're a community, it's our right to say, well, we do not so much appreciate the way you're handling us. But then you ask the very pertinent question, who is the person? It's not one person. It is all of us, and it is what we are doing here.
Exactly.
It's speaking up. We have spoken up about other issues that they may not come forthright and tell you that it has had an impact, but you can tell when there's some changes that, somebody has been listening. So if somebody is listening right now, this is just not acceptable. It is telling when you fail to have these bar owners and these managers to speak up. It is very telling when you try to approach a person and they tell you, my friend, I'm not trying to start anything here. I don't want any trouble. So that means that there is trouble. That means that someone put it across to you that it is better you keep quiet.
And people need to understand, it is not, you don't push on a button and press on enter and you have a 24/7 live going on over here. You know, people were thinking, all of your shops, why don't you stay open? But for who? If you close all the entertaining places, people won't move around.
But the people who come to you are those very same people.
Exactly.
Most of the time are coming from those places.
Exactly. Or even those places when they're missing something, they send other people.
Absolutely,
All of
absolutely.
that, you know.
And it's sad that some institutions that we believe are meant to protect investors, because I'm sure those people who are dealing with entertainment joints are also investors. Like RDB, you'd expect to hear a point or an episode from them.
Absolutely.
Saying anything. But if it is about an oil tycoon coming to invest in Rwanda, they would be very definitely want to protect this person. They definitely want to talk about this person.
Maybe until the old tycoon tells them, you know what?
Yes.
What club can I visit?
So I think it's important. Entertainment is also given more emphasis as
Nightlife.
And there is something that sometimes we brush off or we don't really talk about. I believe, I contend that there is foul play. And why is that? There are places that are never, ever visited or bothered. And these places are the places most visited with teenage girls, with too many people that cannot be handled in such a small place, that doesn't have a parking lot, because that has often been the accusation on other places that have been closed. So how can that be? What kind of power that these people, these owners of these particular places, go to Kimihurura. There's a whole bunch of places there. Then you will hear some people keep having visits from the police, and some people have none. You go visit Sundowner. They are never bothered. I don't know the owner, but I'm saying it because it's a reality. There are some places that are never bothered, and some that are always bothered all the damn time. So if there is foul play, somebody needs to look into that.
you should know people. You should know people actually.
Okay, so this is News Review brought to you by Fly Dubai. Now, back to matters Rwanda.
Back to the future.
Yes. And from the noise thing, a little bit, let me talk about these guys who are silent, yet they shouldn't be silent, the senators. Tomorrow they're supposed to pick a new president of the Senate, yet none has even spoken or,
Really?
declared interest of,
Evidently, they're not trying to get arrested for noise pollution.
They're worried too. They're worried a lot.
Well, they really want to obey the law, and be as silent as sometimes I wonder, What? By the way, what is the Senate for?
The Senate.
Yeah, I'm sure you asked that question to. I would have a 100% blank response.
Responses.
Would you know?
You're asking us.
Anybody?
Yeah, no. The
If somebody knows what Senate is
does.
for, send an SMS to write CFM space and send it to 5,000, right?
Yes.
And tell us what is the Senate for.
So you're by posing the question, you are being sarcastic.
No, I'm not being sarcastic. I'm just asking a real question. What is it for?
Nevertheless, they are there, and
Yeah, no, for sure they are there.
And to-
I mean, when you have a lower and a higher chamber, but so why the higher chamber today in 2014? I don't know.
To
What-
make
what-
sure,
what-
I
yes.
think to filter out whatever, to make sure that you have a process through which these laws that will later on be implemented have gone through all the possible expertise and all the now usually the Senate is supposed to be like older in experience,
Yes.
and more mature and mostly there to oversee what the lower chamber is doing. I imagine that's what they should be doing.
like the parents and their kids or what?
Yeah, because why do they appoint
No,
people?
but why
who
don't
have
you put
more-
everything in the lower chamber?
Well, then if you put everything there, you will still have someone to oversee. Then you'll have to get even older people to oversee that lower chamber.
and that,
No, but these
that
are the-
explains the need to have a higher.
The reason. I mean, I never done any enough research to see how it works, you know, because it also says that we're not going to I mean, the Senate has to elect the chairman, the president.
Yes.
And that person becomes then after that been elected number 2 in the country, right? If we don't have a vice president, but then it would be the president of the Senate that would become, if there anything happened to a presidency. All of that, does it work? How does it work? So it is an important vote that we're expecting there. But I'm just wondering how this work. But I'm sure very few. I mean, maybe next time we have a session, some of us could do some research and try to share
find
that,
out
you know,
stuff.
because it is
In
an
fact,
important election.
You wonder. It is important. It should be important. And that's how I would put it. It should be important, given the importance of that person, given the
That's
possibility
where I'm- that's
that this
what I-
person might end up
absolutely.
becoming the president if, God forbid, something was to happen to the
Yeah.
actual president. Now, I don't think that's the way people take it or understand it. I don't think it's given that much weight. We have been, no one seems to have been paying attention. Now you bring up the fact that they're going to elect one. Probably the first reaction is like, I thought they already did that. Or we were fine with the interim one. So it goes to show we don't really pay much attention to our Senate. We don't even really know what is the difference. Yeah, so that one
how
I
do you
try to
get there?
imagine. But analyzing the way people have been getting there, these have been senior politicians in different political parties. It has often been viewed as a position they give you more as a reward for the service you have rendered to the country, but using also your experience to oversee matters related to the legislation. So I'm in my head, that's how I imagine it goes. So I would like to think that it is pertinent, that they do a great job. Hopefully, I'm hoping so. And then I don't think the people who are electing them are planning on anything happening to the president. So I don't think they pay much attention to that.
Yeah, that's for sure. But there's a more important role anyway than I mean, or there's a daily role is overseeing what is happening in politics. In these are lawmakers, right? So and that is that's the most important task. Yeah, so it's going to be important anyway. But he needs to be forewarned that he needs to be a a team player, because apparently that is one of the things that the outgoing
So if nobody is
interested, we have a candidate here.
Can now Kurifta say, well, guys, I was okay with the job until you started shit. Can I have my seat back now?
Now fasten your seatbelt and just move on to the next.
All right. Now, let me take you to something that it was actually trending from last week on social media sites, but I couldn't bring it up on Friday because of time. This pastor.
Which pastor? Pastor
This
P?
pastor,
P?
some
Respect, man.
Respect. Who? What
There's a pastor here?
There's a pastor in America, in South Alabama. This guy, he's been actually in the leadership of the church for about 23 years. Then just the other day, he goes to the pulpit and stands there, and then he tells them, sorry guys, you know what? I've been sleeping with members of the church, and I'm HIV positive, and I even have full-blown AIDS. So sorry guys. And end of the story.
Okay. So where's the news there?
The fact
Because
that this
sleeping with
guy-
the congregation, then one is a given, comes with the territory.
Whatever
As
congregation.
long as you're not targeting little boys, we're good with that. It's okay if it's grown-ups,
Yeah,
because
and-
it's
and
the deal with the priests and the little boys that bothers us.
Yes.
Yeah, but
And-
it's if
but
it's
if it's
the other
grown up-
people's wives, it's okay. They can deal with it.
They can deal
Yeah,
with
get a
it.
shotgun.
Oh,
It's South Alabama, my friend. So he probably already has one.
and put a bullet through their heads.
They used
Yeah,
to hang
hang
people
them,
there.
hang them.
Probably still do.
Alabama trees, they got some strange fruits.
Yeah, man. So it's good
Well,
that he.
that's a fait divers. This can happen in Kampala, it can happen in Nairobi, it can happen, and that shows you that South Alabama is just the same as anywhere else.
Exactly.
world.
But he's not even pulling any punches. Like it's the whole thing. The only thing
The whole
missing
nine
there
yards,
is
man.
the only thing missing is that he's gay. That's
Yes.
otherwise, he did everything else. I'm HIV positive. I've been
HIV.
sleeping with the congregation.
Yeah.
Hey, I probably don't believe in Jesus.
He's not going to heaven, that's for sure.
He's like, oh, what the hell?
He's booked himself a ticket to hell, right?
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't even believe
He's
in
been
those
there
things
for a
anymore.
long time.
Actually, he's been there. He's
been hell trying to hide it.
He's been on the hell highway.
They
Busy
say,
riding
they
down
say
the
that
road.
what do they say? They say the highway to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, I'm sure he started off with good intentions, and somehow along the way he went astray.
Yeah.
Right.
But
But
we'll
at least
forgive
he
him.
ended on a good note. He apologized.
So if I slept with any of you guys, might want to go get yourself checked up.
Too bad. Now, let me take you over to Kenya. There's a study has been conducted in secondary schools. In Kenya, they have a body called NACADA. NACADA deals actually with the issues of drug abuse, alcohol and drug abuse. So they conducted a study in secondary schools, only to realize that a number for the students they interviewed, a number of them actually admitted to use of bang prescription drugs. So, I mean, and they
What?
say
Say again? They admitted
yes.
what?
they
Admitted
admitted to using
banned,
prescription
drugs.
and prescription drugs just to get high.
Okay, now I didn't get you. I thought those prescription drugs were banned. No, they admitted to using what? The first thing you said, what?
Bang. Or we call it weed.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. You mean Selsminia? That's great.
Mary Jane.
Mary Jane. All right.
Just all those kinds of names.
Everybody loves Mary Jane.
And
Nothing wrong with Mary Jane. So prescription drugs, huh?
yes, but they're using prescription drugs actually to get high. And
Of course, that would be the whole point. Otherwise, why take them if they get you low?
I know. Okay, you get.
But maybe it's
Okay,
very
but
telling to the school
so-
system. Maybe it's becoming so stressful that kids need to go on drugs. That's very bad.
is it becoming stressful or is it just becoming laxed? in terms
School?
of the management.
Evidently not. It's in Kenya. I don't know. I haven't been to school to Kenya. How is it? Tell us
I
some
tell
of
you
your
more. I tell you
experiences.
more.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. One, it varies, from one place to another.
Yeah.
And probably these trends are quite common with schools in urban areas. That's where these kind of activities tend to take place. They are prone, they're actually exposed so much to this kind of accessibility to drugs and alcohol is quite high. And according to the study, what they're saying is what was most accessible to students is actually alcohol without the knowledge of the teachers. They're not even aware that these students are even drinking alcohol within the institution.
But
Yeah.
let me tell you something.
They don't
also.
smell
In
it?
general,
Mm.
in places where society is normal, I would say, normal, where you don't have a war like in Syria,
Yes.
it's a global trend.
Mm.
It's not just in Kenya. That's the thing of the. This is. This.
What's the scenario like in Rwanda?
In Rwanda.
Is there
Well,
such like
I'm
statistics?
I'm sure more kids today than when I was in school have touched drugs and alcohol.
Mm.
You see, more.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's global thing because they watch it on TV, they watch it on internet, they watch it in the
Yeah.
movies, they
And
talk
it
about it.
seems, you're
they
in
share
school,
about it.
you're at that age where you want to experiment things,
Yeah,
you
you're
want to
there.
peer pressure, you want to
You're-
be a part of the team.
Yeah.
They're drinking, so you feel the pressure to drink too. They say, okay, that we have something here that has a little bit more kick. And,
Yeah.
and so accessibility.
You see,
it's-
to me, it is there. Just say we need to address drug trafficking, blah 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 blah. Is to me really not enough. If you don't also be conscious about it and share and educate and inform kids on the risk of that. It would be, in places like Holland, where in fact they tolerate consumption, and they have what they call coffee bars and all of that, so you can drink and smoke those things openly. Well, they have the lowest percentage of people abusing that compared to the rest of Europe. The lowest, because people have access. It's not banned.
Yeah, it's not cool anymore.
You see.
My God.
So now it's not about daring to do it, because it's there.
Yes.
And you get more information, and people are more aware of what it can impact on your life. You see. So and they have the lowest of the whole of Europe.
Exactly. And they can monitor also the quality of
course.
what they put on the market.
Yeah.
Here, I'm very sure it's there. You don't need statistics to know. It's a like Albert rightly put it. It's a global trend. So I don't think Kenya is
Is an exception.
Yeah. Kids are all over the place. Everybody is trying to
Are
get
exposed.
high. Everybody's trying to get high, but then some ways are legal and some are illegal. So you just have to keep educating. But now the other day I was watching TV and they're showing a session in Parliament where the First Lady. I think as the I don't know if she's the president of Imbuto, I don't know the title for it, Imbuto Foundation, but they were there talking about drug abuse and alcohol abuse amongst teens, and there was a remark from the Minister of Justice that kind of puzzled me. He gave the example of Hong Kong. He said that the laws in Rwanda are very lenient towards drug traffickers. When they could get up to 3 years in jail, he was putting it to the panel there that in Hong Kong they get the death penalty if you are caught with a kilo of God knows what, whatever drug. So I was like, okay, sure, that the way to start a conversation, but why would you take the example of the worst of the worst? Sometimes, yeah.
Well, I'm also sorry to hear this kind of, like we saw it in the what? Was that in the 50s and the 30s in the US? Banned alcohol,
Yeah.
And then because of that, even with the death penalty in the US, that is still there today in 2014, you had the biggest bandits, outlaws, Al Capones and mafia picking up. Then they banned drugs, the hard drugs like coke and all globally. Then you had global Al Capones, you had Pablo Escobar, you had cartels, and in Asia you have cartels in Latin America, and those cartels are powerful because they're making money. They can even bail out a whole country on the national debt. You know.
Absolutely.
So why in I would say now almost 80 years, 70 years, that hasn't proven to be the effective way to fight drug abuse and trafficking.
Exactly.
So why and today like you know how many states in the US are reverting on this soft drugs stuff? California.
Actually, I remember many states have allowed what they term medical use of marijuana.
Sure, but of course they call it medical use. It sounds like that, but exactly. You know, so I don't think it's about the law because it's the thing that we've seen. You cannot ban it. There will always be a demand,
and that makes me question one thing. When you even hear saying that these kids should be educated on the side effects and the bad things about drugs, usually how effective again are these education forums and all these kind of efforts we drive towards them? Because the tendency will always be, and even as you said, over the years we're having more kids exposed to alcohol and drug use as compared to in the past years. Yet, we are moving into information age, we have the internet, we have all these things around us.
When you ban those products also, you ban education, you ban information. So you cannot just tell a kid, don't take that, it's bad. It's more than that.
You have to educate. And now, let's put it this way. In Rwanda, I don't think we have, not that I know of, the problem of those prescription drugs and stuff like that. But we do have problem with alcohol abuse. We do have a problem with the consumption of marijuana and other hard drugs and other illegal alcohol that is being made in questionable ways, and that is really affecting especially the health of people in rural areas, especially who don't have access to the most expensive type of alcohol. That being said, if you put the focus on what is banned, then what is stopping a student to go and get some warake? Or get some whiskey, because that one is not banned. Maybe it's not allowed to their age group, but it is equally as harmful. Sometimes you can even argue that it's more harmful than what they are banning. So it cannot just be the ban. It cannot just be the prison sentence that you are upping from 3 years to life or death. It really has to be an ongoing conversation, but listening to the minister and listening to some other people who have intelligent things to say about the matter, what I do realize is that there's a need for education on both sides. We need to educate our kids, but they need to educate themselves. They need to educate themselves before they even educate the kids, because there are many misconceptions. I remember one time having a conversation. There was a time when there was a very great initiative from the president's office to send off people to areas, to the the lowest levels of local government, to the midugudus and stuff like that, to Mikuris and imbeciles, to talk to people and say, okay, what's going on? What are the problems that you would like to see the president deal with? It was a great initiative. But I went to one of those in what is this place called? Rwamara. So I went to the sector there. And the person who had come to talk to the people was in fact talking about drug abuse and talked about marijuana in particular. And even put it to the people there that if not for marijuana, genocide would have probably not been as bad as it had been. So really, as an intelligent human being, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, maybe it's not the place for debate, but if this is the guy who's coming to tell us about things, then evidently he needs more education as well, because that's what he thinks. And I don't blame him for thinking that way. It shows that he's misinformed about really those drugs, because it has nothing to do with it. Really nothing to do with it.
And you know, because in our society, most of the time, there's a wrong judgment on some things, and you don't even want to look at some of the real problems. If you take an average, you just check at the age of 30. I'm sure there has been more damage caused by alcohol than by anything else, anything. And nobody seems to see that as a drug, you see? But anyway, time management and time is not on our side. This is where your story is. Let me come with my stories here. Because here, next door, we have a peacekeeping force in the Central African Republic. Things are going from bad to worse. And yet, everybody's there. And you know what? According to me, as an analyst, France is not innocent in what is happening here. And for people to understand what is going on in South Africa, we again have a stage where Africa is disputing with France. Because we have a president there now, a lady, who is in charge for the transition. And instead of just like any other France-Afrique leader would just ask full assistance from Paris, she's now going to Angola. Angola is assisting and is supporting her, and because of that, the kind of violence that you see today is created by the people who don't want to see Angola coming in there. You see? She's received some support from Angola, and now people are crying over an Angola gate. People want to say they want to be transparent. They want to see transparent how is that help being used. And from the people I've been talking to this weekend in Bangui, they say most of the violence were created by French taking some Muslim individuals, giving them to the anti-Balaka, Baraka or whatever, who have started burning, killing them, chopping them, blah blah blah, and then the violence from and then they've created this thing, and it has been in some media, and again, very close to France, that the president is not even satisfied by her Rwandan. She's been
I heard something about that.
And
She asked to be for them to be removed and
Never. In fact, France wants to replace them by.
So who said that? So where did the story come from? Because
It came in the media. So she had to come out and she said never.
So she did speak
She
out.
did speak out. She did speak out. She's very satisfied by the Rwandan peacekeepers. And who might be handicapped now because now they're going to run under the UN flag, and UN has more restricted rules than what they used to be to have. So the RDF is doing very well. RDF is being very much appreciated even by the population, but definitely there is a game here, and they wanted to replace them. They say that they wanted Idriss Déby to send some. So they've tried to bring France-Afrique troops, Cameroonian or Chad, and it's again so. And nobody. What I wonder. France is present there. Everybody's pointing fingers at other people, and nobody's asking France anything about that. And that shows you how shady the situation is. Secondly,
Yes.
you've heard of the Judge Trevidick, who has been dealing with who took over all the cases of Bruyere. So today,
You lost me
tomorrow,
for a second when you said who took over. Then you said who took, and I said who took what?
who took over from the Juge Bruguière. And so many cases. So people might think it's only the Habyarimana stuff, but even this weekend, Juge Trevedic wanted to go to Algeria, where he inherited another case that was
of Bruguière.
That Bruguière also again abused and created a story all of his own without never even visiting on location what happened. And today the scenario is completely different from what Bruguière had come up with.
Well, this is very interesting. Sorry to interrupt you because we have very little time.
Yeah.
If it turns out that Bruguière has been cooking up all these stories and all these cases he has been working on, targeting people for obvious mercenary reasons, couldn't Bruguière in the system in France be prosecuted for that, or shouldn't they look into it and say, okay, this guy, maybe there is anguille sous roche, there is something to look into.
There should be.
So, guys, I'd like to thank you so much for your contribution on News Review this morning. Of course, we've come to the end of the English edition of News Review. So, our listeners, stay
tuned. We're coming back.
Stay tuned. We are coming back with another version of News Review. I've been your host, Michael Kitchen. Do have a good morning.
That's it.